Picture this. I'm standing on the edge of a memory. The smell of freshly cut grass and old leather boots hitting me like a wave as I lace up for another game. My name's Itan, 43 years young, and I've been tethered to this small suburban town just outside Pittsburgh for most of my life. It's a place where the skyline is more smokestack than skyscraper, and the rhythm of life moves to the clatter of steel and the cheers of a local crowd. I've been married to Clara for 15 years. Now she's 40. With a smile that could melt the hardest heart and a quiet way about her that hides a mischievous streak I've always been drawn to. When she laughs, it's like the world pauses, just to listen. And I've spent years trying to coax that sound out of her whenever I can. Our home is a modest split level on a street where everyone knows your business. But I wouldn't trade it for anything. My escape, though, has always been the field. Back in my 20s, I joined the Steel City Strikers, an amateur football team that's more family than squad. I played midfielder, weaving through opponents with a kind of reckless joy that made every bruised shin worth it. Even now, though I'm more sidelines than star player, the game's still my heartbeat. There's Jake, our team captain, late 30s. With a laugh that booms across the field and a presence that demands respect without ever asking for it. Then there's Mike, our burly defender, always ready with a quick quip to lighten the mood, even when we're down by 2 goals. Those sweaty training sessions, the roar of the crowd, fueled my passion for the game. I woke up to the kind of Saturday morning that feels like a gift. Early fall had settled over our little town outside Pittsburgh. The air crisp and carrying the earthy scent of damp leaves as I stood in our cozy kitchen, cradling a mug of black coffee. The steam curled up, warming my face, while outside the window, the world was painted in shades of amber and rust. Clara was there, humming a soft tune I couldn't quite place. Her hands busy watering the potted herbs lined up on the windowsill. Basil, thyme, rosemary, their scents mingled with the coffee, grounding me in this quiet moment. I watched her for a second, the way her dark hair caught the morning light, and felt that familiar tug in my chest. "Hey, why don't you come to the game today?" I asked, keeping my tone light, almost offhand. She turned, a small smile playing on her lips, and tilted her head like she was weighing the idea. "Sure, why not? It'll be fun to see you in action," she said, her voice warm with a hint of curiosity. That was all I needed to hear. We piled into my old pickup truck not long after, the engine grumbling to life as I turned the key. The radio crackled with classic rock, some gritty tune from the 70s. And I couldn't help but tap the steering wheel as we rolled through familiar streets. I pointed out spots from my younger days, the corner store where I'd buy candy after school, the park where I had my first clumsy kiss under a flickering streetlight. Clara listened, her laughter soft but genuine, and I stole glances at her, feeling like the luckiest man alive. The game had wrapped up, a gritty wind that left my muscles aching and my spirit high. I was still buzzing with adrenaline as I made my way toward the locker room beneath the bleachers, the dim concrete corridor stretching out before me. The air down here was heavy with the stench of sweat and old gym socks, a smell so familiar it was almost comforting. My cleats echoed against the hard floor, each step a sharp clack in the quiet. "Clara," called out, expecting to hear. Her voice bounced back from somewhere near the entrance where she'd said she'd wait. But there was nothing, just the hollow sound of my own words fading into the shadows. My pace slowed as I neared the door, a faint murmur of voices slipping through the cracked opening. Something about the tone, low, almost secretive, made my gut tighten. I edged closer, peering through the narrow gap. There she was, Clara, sitting on a wooden bench in the middle of the cluttered room, surrounded by scattered gear and damp towels. Her hands were folded neatly in her lap, her posture calm, almost too composed for a place as rough and grimy as this. My brow furrowed. Why wasn't she outside like we'd agreed? Why here, in this dank space that felt so out of place? For her. I was about to push the door open to call out again when movement caught my eye. Jake, our team captain, still in his muddy uniform, strode over to her. His broad frame loomed as he stopped close in. I heard him ask, "Hey Clara, you doing okay waiting for Iton?" Her reply was soft, almost casual. "Yeah, I'm fine. Just thought I'd wait here." It sounded innocent enough, but something in the air shifted. A tension I couldn't name. Then it happened. Jake reached out, his hand brushing across her cheek, his fingers lingering in her dark hair. My stomach plummeted, a sick lurch that stole my breath. She didn't pull away. Her eyes met his, holding a look I couldn't decipher, something between surprise and something else, something that cut me deeper than I could have imagined. I'm standing in the shadowy hallway just outside the locker room, the air still thick with the lingering stench of sweat and damp gear. My breath comes in shallow bursts, barely filling my lungs. And my hands tremble at my sides, fingers twitching like they're itching to grab onto something solid, something real. The image of what I just saw burns behind my eyes. Jake's hand on Clara's cheek, the way her gaze locked with his, that unspoken something hanging between them. My chest tightens, a vice squeezing my heart, and I can't shake the sick feeling churning in my gut. Then I hear the slow creak of the locker room door swinging open, a sound that cuts through the haze in my head like a knife. I freeze, my back pressing against the cold concrete wall as Clara steps out into the dim light. She's smoothing her hair with one hand, her movements casual, almost practiced, and when her eyes find me, her face brightens like nothing's wrong, like the world hasn't just tilted under my feet. She rushes over, her steps light, and her voice is all warmth as she says, "There you are. Great game, honey. That goal was amazing." I force a smile, but it feels like a crack in a dam, barely holding back the flood. My mouth opens, but the words stick, caught somewhere between rage and a desperate need to believe I misunderstood everything. I study her face, searching for any flicker of guilt, any shadow of secrecy. But there's nothing, just that familiar softness in her eyes. The same look she's given me 1,000 times over the years. It makes me doubt myself, makes me wonder if I'm losing it. But the memory of Jake's touch replays in my mind, vivid and undeniable. I mumble something vague, a weak thanks, and we head out to the parking lot, my legs moving on autopilot. While my thoughts spiral, the drive home is a blur of silence, the kind that presses down on you heavier than any words could. Streetlights flicker past, casting fleeting shadows across Clara's face as she stares out the passenger window, seemingly at ease. My hands grip the steering wheel, so I'm sitting across from Clara at our kitchen table the next morning. The weight of yesterday still pressing down on me like a storm cloud that won't lift. The coffee in my mug has gone cold, untouched, as I stare at the chipped edge of the ceramic, trying to find the words I've been choking on since last night. She's leaning back in her chair, her posture relaxed, almost defiant, as if she's been waiting for this moment. Then she speaks, her voice steady, cutting through the silence like a blade. "I know you saw Iton. I'm not going to lie or make excuses. I liked it. I want to do it again, maybe even more." The room spins around me, the walls blurring as her confession lands like a series of punches to my gut. Each word is a blow, sharp and unrelenting, tearing at the foundation of everything I thought I knew about us. My hands grip the edge of the table, knuckles whitening, as a flood of emotions crashes over me. Anger burns hot in my chest, a raw, searing pain that makes me want to shout, to demand answers. Hurt follows, a deep ache that hollows me out, leaving me feeling betrayed in a way I never imagined possible. But beneath it all, there's something else, a confusing pull. A thread of that strange captivation I felt watching them yesterday. a part of me still tangled in the shock and allure of it all. I stammer, my voice barely above a whisper. Why? How could you want this? She doesn't flinch, her gaze steady as she explains, her tone calm, almost detached. It made me feel alive, like I was breaking out of a cage I didn't even know I was in. I've been craving something new, something that shakes me awake. Her words leave me speechless, my mind reeling as I try to process how the woman I've loved for 15 years could be saying this, could be seeking a thrill that cuts me so deep. I push back from the table, pacing the kitchen, my hands running through my hair, tugging at the strands as if I can pull clarity from the chaos in my days have passed since that second gut-wrenching moment. The one where Clara laid her truth bare at our kitchen table, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around the aftermath. Life has slipped into this eerie kind of normalcy, like we're actors in a play, pretending the script hasn't changed. I watch Clara out in the backyard, her hands buried in the soil as she tends to her garden, coaxing life from the earth with a tenderness that used to make me feel so safe. Now, every move she makes feels layered with secrets. I head to practice with the Steel City Strikers, kicking the ball with a ferocity I don't recognize in myself, but every time I catch her across the room or over dinner, there's this unspoken tensioning silent storm brewing in the space between us. It's in the way her gaze lingers just a second too long, or how mine drops to the floor. Afraid of what I might see if I look too deep, I'm starting to see Clara in a new light. And it's not just as my wife of 15 years. She's become this enigma, a puzzle with pieces I'm not sure I want to fit together. There's a part of her, I don't know, maybe never knew. And it gnaws at me late at night when the house is quiet and I'm staring at the ceiling. I keep asking myself how I played a role in this, how I might have turned a blind eye to her. Restlessness, how I let routine dull the edges of our connection. Did I push her to seek that rush elsewhere by not seeing her? Really seeing her? The questions loop endlessly, each one cutting a little deeper, leaving me raw and uncertain of who I am in this mess. One evening, I find myself at the field alone after everyone's gone home. The bleachers stretch out empty under the graying sky, the silence so heavy it presses against my chest. I sit there, the cold metal biting into my skin, and replay every moment Jake's touch. Clara's confession, the way my heart raced with a mix of pain and something I can't name. I wonder if I've lost myself in trying to, and forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.